I recently read the book Spark by author John Ratey. In Naperville, Illinois, a morning literacy class split high school students into two groups. One group had gym class right before the literacy class, and the other group was allowed to sleep in. During the morning gym class, the students strapped on a heart rate monitor to their chest and kept their heart rates elevated between 160 and 190 beats per minute by running around the school track. Initially, the Naperville students found these morning exercises annoying. The girls complained about being smelly and gross. But soon the students felt their energy rise, and they saw their test scores increase. The students who took part in the morning gym class showed a 17% improvement in reading and comprehension, compared to a 10.7% improvement for students who slept in each morning. Author and Dr. John Ratey says there is a new stereotype emerging in schools around America: the smart jock. Ratey has studied the effect that exercise has on learning for over a decade. He has discovered that students who exercise before studying consistently outperform their non-active counterparts if they study the same amount of time. Ratey has also discovered that the mental benefits of exercise extend beyond school children. A 2007 study showed that when a group of adults learned a series of new vocabulary words before and after exercising, they were able to recall words 20% faster after the exercise. Another 2007 study revealed that adults between the ages of 50 and 64 who completed one 35-minute treadmill session with a sustained heart rate of 70% of their maximum heart rate had increased cognitive abilities. They were able to come up with more alternative uses for common objects than the individuals who simply watched a movie. When asked for an alternative use for a newspaper, they had enough cognitive flexibility to generate answers like wrapping fish, lining a birdcage, or packing dishes. The science conclusively shows that exercise doesn't just lead to a better body, it also leads to a better brain. Author John Ratey calls exercise miracle grow for the brain. When we exercise, our bodies generate a large amount of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF for short. In the 1990s, scientists found that when they sprinkled BDNF on brain cells preserved in a petri dish, those brain cells sprouted new branches and produced the same structural growth required for learning. In a sense, BDNF is like Miracle-Gro for the brain. It nourishes brain cell growth like a fertilizer nourishes and supports plant growth. Dr. John Ratey says BDNF gathers in reserve pools around the synapses in the brain and is unleashed when we get our blood pumping. It's exercise that sparks the release of BDNF and heightens our learning and creativity. There's a good reason why our bodies are programmed to do this. Thousands of years ago, before the bow and arrow was invented, human beings survived by literally running down animals to death. Scientists call this persistence hunting. Because human beings have superior running endurance, we could chase an animal, like an antelope, until it died from exhaustion. Although we human beings can run far, we can't run very fast compared to other mammals. So when our early ancestors would attempt to run down an antelope, the antelope would often sprint ahead and out of sight. In those moments, we would need to pause, quickly study the environment, and predict which way the antelope went. In a sense, we needed the ability to learn fast and solve problems quickly between periods of exercise. Without this ability, we wouldn't get to eat the next day. In the 21st century, we don't need to predict which way the antelope went, but we do need to predict the right answer on an exam or the right solution to a critical problem at work. So what is the most effective way to get a dose of BDNF and upgrade our brains? What's the least amount of exercise we can do for the largest mental gains? In the book, author John Ratey concludes that 20 to 30 minutes of aerobic exercise like running, swimming, or biking at a pace that you could maintain for an hour or feel somewhat hard is enough to release a substantial amount of BDNF. The feeling of somewhat hard seems like a vague instruction, but a kinesiologist at Iowa State University has shown it to be the most reliable marker of your aerobic heart rate zone limit. You see, when your exercise goes beyond a feeling of somewhat hard, you enter an anaerobic heart rate zone. The more time you spend in an anaerobic heart rate zone, the more time off you'll need between exercise to recover, and the less often you'll be able to reap the incredible learning and problem-solving benefits of exercise. After reading Spark, I've made exercise a core component of my daily productivity routine. Before reading a new book, I'll go out for a run to get a dose of BDNF to improve my reading comprehension. Before designing a new video, I'll go for a swim to heighten my creative abilities and produce valuable content for my audience. John Ratey has also concluded that if we want the benefits of exercise, we should make sure our exercise happens right before we need to do work. A year after the initial Naperville literacy student study, the Naperville High School conducted a similar study, but scheduled the literacy class 6 hours after the students exercised. The school found that the students who had literacy lessons right after exercise did noticeably better than those who had a 6-hour gap between exercise and study time. After this finding, Naperville's guidance counselors began to suggest that all students schedule their hardest subjects immediately after gym class to capitalize on the benefits of exercise. Therefore, if you hope to use exercise to boost your productivity, you should go for a run right before working on an important project. If you're a student and you want to make the best use of your study time, go for a bike ride for 20 minutes and then sit down at your desk and start studying. If you work in an office and have an afternoon brainstorming session scheduled with your team, hop on the elliptical for 20 minutes at lunch. In the end, author John Ratey says, exercise provides an unparalleled stimulus, creating an environment in which the brain is ready, willing, and able to learn. Aerobic activity is an indispensable tool for anyone who wants to reach his or her full potential. That was the core message that I gathered from the book Spark. The book provides a substantial amount of research to back up the claim that exercise can massively improve your cognitive abilities. I highly recommend it. If you would like a one-page PDF summary of the insights that I gathered from this book, just click the link below and I'd be happy to email it to you. If you already subscribe to the free Productivity Game newsletter, this PDF is sitting in your inbox. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a productive week.